chosen as the 6 best projects for being the finalists. And yes, we are glad now to join forces with you and really prepare 6 proposals as strong as possible. And hopefully most of you will really get to the next phase to execute it.
Ma helistaks hiljem tagasi.
Sa saad vist vaigistada Raineri. Sinu oma oli siit hoopis.
Ja ma korraks läksin.
Okay. So very shortly, yes, how we started is that the cities were proposing urban challenges, as you remember. And then you as researchers proposed ideas for those. Then in the next phase, you had to get the cities to say yes to your idea and be ready to really say that they could join and pilot the idea. And that made quite a good selection already from the ideas. And now you've made the pilot proposal, the initial one. And the time now from January till April is to prepare the full proposals that will then be presented by the end of April. Then the ones that get financed will have to do the solution development, piloting in minimum 2 cities, and prepare for commercialization of those solutions. And then the end result should be either then licensed to an existing company who will start to commercialize it, or your team will create a spin-off company and will license it to that. And this is the way how it gets to the market and many, many cities, hopefully, in the world. So how we can finance is that, yes, we have this Horizon teaming grant, as quite many researchers know about this teaming thing. Then the Estonian state had to add the same proportion. So this is the way how we got this 15 million. And the task was to do new pilot projects where Estonian cities also get some benefits. And we as the center build the sustainability, meaning we had to live long ever after and not to stop when the teaming grant ends. So we need to find ways. And this is the way that we develop solutions that will get to the market and we can earn back from the commercial success of those solutions. So in this period, the structural funds money plus also state money. There's a little bit difference between period 1. We have now more state money. This means more flexibility, but of course a little bit more work for me because there are many more financial sources and I have to calculate how much we have used in this and that. So it's quite troublesome, but we will manage. So in round 1 and 2, we have financed 4 large pilots and 2 mid-sized pilots. They are done. And we are working to get them on the market. Some already are. And now from rounds 3 and 4, we can then finance 6 to 7 pilots, depending on the balance between medium and large ones. So the ideal solution would be 3 mid-sized, so 2 years ones, and 4 large ones. Or if we don't find enough good midwives, then it's 1 mid-sized and 5 large, so 6 in total. It depends how it all goes. So as you remember, these are the ones that we have already done from 2 rounds. DigiAudit is the one that's licensed for Finnect, and we also sell it as a part of it as a service to RA Technologies. And this is already, yes, making turnover, and we have earned our first small income from that project. So that's, let's say, the most further developed one. And then there are 2 spin-offs created based on that. One is on microgrids called DSXOS, and their platform gets launched very soon. And based on green twins, we have a startup called Herbarium.ai. Also, their product, like the commercial product, gets launched very soon. The 3 other things we are at the moment still selling as a service through the center, but we still also hope that maybe we find a commercialization partner so we get it kind of out of our hand to a private company. And as you see in rounds 1 and 2, all the partner cities were Estonian, but this is what we changed for the next round to really work that the solutions are also applicable for other countries. So that is the reason why we wanted at least 1 foreign city also to be part of it. So here, this picture is waiting you. So from round 3, we got UrbanSplash that is financed. This is then The pilots will be done in Tartu and in Ireland in Fingal and Dunleary cities. And Ciprian later will also tell a little bit about his experience from round 3, how it was to prepare with and so forth. Then also, we also had 6 finalists in the last round. But the second one, citizens got an opportunity to renew the proposal, fine-tune still it, because we didn't believe enough into it. So in reality, they have a deadline tomorrow to send me the new proposal, and then the commercial side will be evaluated again. And if the commercial evaluators think it's good enough now, then it could start in March. If not, then that's also a free place for you. So here we are waiting for new proposals. So in this round, as you know, we had 52 cities, 126 countries proposing the challenges. Then the researchers and companies proposed 35 ideas. Some joined the forces, some didn't get the cities to join. And now we have selected 6 pilot solutions that we believe in, and it was selected then by us, finalists, and the ministry representatives. In some cases, we had quite common understanding. In some cases, we had quite different understanding. So, but this was we had a consensus meeting where we then decided which are the 6 ones still with the best proposal. And now, yes, by the end of April, we want the full proposals. And then in May, they will be evaluated. And the successful ones can start from September 1, provided that also the partner cities have signed that they are on board. I'm sorry, wrong direction. So these are the 6 ones. In reality, a little bit longer article is on the homepage, so you can read and get to know your competition, kind of saying. So to a little bit understand what the others are doing and how you position among these. Of course, they're different. As always, the products are different, and some maybe are targeting a very wide and obvious challenge, but there is sometimes a threat that also the solution goes a little bit too wide for this time frame. Some are very concrete and narrow. That's a kind of a concrete and good thing that they target very concrete thing. But of course, there is the question, is the impact good enough? And yeah, how's that side? But the first 4 ones are going for 36 months, 3 years, and the 2 last ones then for 2 years and 24 months. This is at the moment the situation. So the selection criteria in more detail is at the homepage, so you can select or see and read it through. There will be 10 evaluators reading all the proposals. One is representing us is Ralf Martinsoo, who will then try to understand what's the benefit for us, the team, follow-up proposals, business potential. In each criteria, the maximum point is 12, and the other number is then the threshold. As you see, in most places it's 6, but the business potential is 8, as that's the most important. Then we will have 3 experts from the business side. It's mostly investors. Last time it was 2 investors and 1 person from the Science Park Technopole. Wider impact, it's people from ministries, understanding that part. And the research competence, we did so that we have 1 expert from the Ministry of Research and Education, 1 expert from Aalto University, who is also part of our steering committee. And then the third one, each team can propose us 3 experts in the research in your concrete domain. So someone international that really knows your domain and understands, and then we agree with one of those. And this is one of the evaluators. So we can guarantee that someone really understands in depth. Of course, there cannot be any conflict of interest or something like that. This is what we're asking. But try to start to think. I will be asking soon, who could that be? So the evaluators will evaluate in the written form. Then we also have a kind of consensus meeting and discuss it through with the different experts. And this goes to the finalist steering committee. And it's not a mathematical exercise that these are the points and now they just need to say yes and that's it. They will also discuss it. So they can decide still one other side, of course, they take into account all the opinions and points, but the final decision is not mathematical by them. And two of the members, yes, are kind of in the both those last ones in the research side that are both in the evaluation committee and steering committee. The rest of the steering committee is quite different. And Ralf Martinsoo is not part of the steering committee, so he cannot interfere there anymore. Unfortunately for us, so something. But at least the opinion is on the table. Okay, so what's now happening in between now and April? So first is that each of the 6 pilots was also given one of us, Seinari and Sille and Henry and Anneli and Rita. So one person from us has joined the team to really help you through the process with the coordination and constant feedback, because we know a little bit more what we are expecting, so we can help you to understand what are the expectations in the proposal and so forth, and the organization side of that. And the other, on top of writing the proposal, one of the key things is still understanding the needed solution a bit better. So one of the first tasks is really to first interview in depth or have a workshop with those cities you already have been board, but not only, ideally at least 3 more. And it is not must that it should only be cities. If your potential customers are private real estate owners or some other type of companies, then feel free to interview them as well, because the key is really to understand how it works in practice for them. What is the real problem? How is the process? And that your solution really matches. You can still be very flexible in this phase, as you understand. So take these into account. Don't do these interviews in April. It doesn't help you anymore, because then the proposal should be quite getting fine-tuned. But really in the beginning to understand what you still need to change. This is the goal of those interviews. Then a learning from the last round is still that then we offered, let's say, 1-2 hour one-on-one consultation for each pilot with the business expert. But we saw that this is not enough. And as researchers don't have so much business experience, so we need to support them better. So this time on February 12, we arranged a 6-hour workshop for all teams here in Mekari building. This is not a lecture, but this is really that from each team, 2 to 4 people would be there, and we will be working on your business side, and this can go then into your application already. Of course, it's not totally ready by the end of the workshop, but you still know already what you have and what you are still missing. So think in your teams and discuss who will want to take part. At the moment, I've sent the invitation only to the key people from each team. But let me know who wants to be potentially part of this business part, and then I can send the invitation. You can also engage someone online. In addition, that's all fine. If you have, for example, some foreign researchers from other, or in some cases, some city representatives want to also to be part, that's all fine. But have 2 to 4 people on spot to do it. Then also one topic that's not so easy is intellectual property. So we have Martin Koppel, with whom we will agree the meeting for each of you to discuss. For example, also, do you bring on board already some protected IP? When some places we have companies, for example, so what is there? We need to kind of fix the initial status, and then what is the new IP that will be created and that we can license later on, either to like existing company or then to the spin-off, and how it can be protected. It's not the patent is far not only option. There are many others. So Martin would help you to think it through what it can really be. And then also we have Anne and Reilly from our communication team who can help you if you need help on that side. And this time I've said it's kind of the must that the deadline is April 30, as you know. But please, all teams, send me the applications for the review on April 24. So I have the equal kind of overview, and I can still send you the final things if something is kind of understood wrong or whatever. so we can make the changes and have the equal. Last time there was one proposal that didn't reach me, and it had a couple of things that shouldn't have been there. So we can still change it. Then, yes, as told, you will have about 20,000 euros for each team. So we need to do the agreements quite soon about like how we will divide it. The key is that this cost, yes, can be used for January till April, but not in August or in the end of the year. Oh, I still had something. Can I?
No. Sorry.
I guess it's coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're back again. Should be.
And we are not there.
You can.
Äkki sa oskad korraks selle klipseri peale välja?
Yeah.
Okay, so we are back. As this, we use this state budget for that. So meaning it's not as strict as RTK or structural fund thing. Meaning it can be used, the FAOs in the Chaltec people know what it is, or you can also pay the kind of additional payments. So that's okay. If in RTK sense, the additional payments is headache, so in state budget thing, it's okay. But of course, again, yeah, keep in mind this period. So no later payments. And as in Chaltec rules that for 20th date, you need to, it has to be formulated. If you want to pay something already for January, then by 20, you need to do the things. Otherwise, it goes from February. Then we can also cover the international travel costs. So the last time we did it also that all the teams had one meeting in Tallinn. So also the cities from other countries, and if you have companies and so forth, can come here and really have the in-depth workshops whenever you think it's the good time. And you can cover the costs, meaning that we have Anna somewhere here who needs to get the information, and she will buy the tickets, she will book the hotels. So don't have the cities or whoever like buy something on their own. So we will buy it, we will cover it. We cannot cover the costs of private companies. We've already telling, so no problem. But if we have some foreign companies, so they either need to buy their own tickets or then they participate online. Yes, we have one question. Inga, I guess.
I'm sorry, was it allowed to ask during your presentation? Sorry, but it's an actual question regarding this money for the development of the project proposal.
Yeah.
Are this money will be allocated to university institutes, or it will be based in the smart city
Yes.
financial unit, and you will just cover all the these expenses?
Yes, the latter is true. Yeah, it's in the Finance Center, and we will cover the costs.
I mean, let's say for the researchers.
Yeah, there's well a meaning like this. We will give you the financial source, let's say so, and when you do this FAO or then additional payment, then you write our financial source there, and it comes to you.
But this will be deducted from this 20,000, yeah? It's part of
Yes, it will be part
It's all part of it, yeah.
of.
Then on top of these salaries and international travel costs, these are the direct costs. 25% is the overhead that has to be included into 20,000, but this stays in Chaltec, but yeah, we cannot have direct costs for that, of course. Then we have to keep in mind that this is the ministry's rule that now the inside Estonia travel is not eligible. So meaning if we have some cities outside of Tallinn, then unfortunately they need to cover their own costs to come to Tallinn and so forth. And subcontracting. In case of subcontracting, there is no overhead. It's kind of the horizon rule. So in case the cities will send you invoice, that meaning like you want also to compensate the expertise, then they can send us the invoice, but not later than in May. And this is subcontracting. Also, if you have researchers that are not yet working for Taltech and you want to pay to them, then it's also they should send us the invoice. And there is no overhead on top of that, these sums. But ask them, or if we have the cities and researchers here, if they can just send us an invoice, or do they need a contract? If they need a contract, then tell us as soon as possible so we can start to prepare, not in May that you discover, oh, we needed a contract or something like that. So the cities and researchers need to think how they can get that money. And of course, the sums cannot be bigger than 5,000 per, otherwise it goes to tendering rule, as you know, for proposals. But I think 20,000 is the total sum, so I don't think it will go over that. And yes, please, do the initial draft survey of how you think you could divide it and send it to me. And then, I can give you the yes and say that you understood everything correct, and then you can proceed with these things. Any other questions concerning this January April budget? Yes, Johan Beck?
Hello. I have a question regarding this budget. So the 1,500, which was the Puhkuse reserve, is this going to be deduced from vacation reserve? Is this going to be deduced from the 20,000?
Yes, but of course I will. When I get your budgets, then I will a little bit review, because when you have more Taltech researchers, then it can be bigger. But for example, in Tree City, we have one researcher from Taltech, so probably it will be smaller. But it's included in this 20,000.
And then the other question, if Henry suggested yesterday that it would be good to have somebody from Aalto as well. So if we get somebody from Aalto to join, will it be possible to cover their costs, or is this already subcontracting?
This goes under subcontracting, but it's all okay. Yeah, they can send you the invoice, and that's all nice. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, but then I stopped talking in between, and I asked Kalle from the DigiAudit, who was the first round pilot, to share his experience, and then Ciprian from the UrbanSplash from round 3 will share. So ask questions. They are not us, so they can maybe give you something. Yeah. Okay, Kalle, you can use the same.
Same setup. Hi, my name is Kalle Kuusk, and we started our DigiAudit 4 years ago. 21.
Kind of, yeah. 21 January, yeah.
So it's a long time ago, but I'll just talk some general basic pilot managing. I think everyone knows, but it's useful to remember those time to time, because it's a little bit different, this smart city project. Most of the researchers are used to this Horizon project. You have 4 years, 2 meetings in a year, a lot of time, but this is very different time schedule. Basically, every week you have to have something. And for the researcher, it's mind-blowing. Every week, some results. So it's a very different time scale. But the first point is also difference from this Horizon project. When the Horizon project, you get this grant agreement, that's it. You can't change almost nothing. You can change, but it's very difficult. But in this Finest Center project, if you see something's not working, you can openly communicate, and it's possible to change. You cannot change totally different, but small adjustments you can always do, because you learn during the process a lot. So you thought it was a great idea, you go to the potential users and they say, nah, we don't want it. So that was one of the things that we realized maybe a little bit too late, that we can change more rapidly. First, from the experience from the Horizon project, you want to stick with the grant agreement, but it's not always needed, because the aim is to end up with usable product. So things will change, and also with the larger projects, you have to have clear roles. You have to have a project manager, because there is a lot of management work. do a lot of meetings, lot of paperwork, reports, financial reports, and you don't have the time to do this standard researcher work. So it's very good when you have different people for basically for publications, responsible for methodology and science work, and the other people just to manage this whole thing, because as I said earlier, it's very tight schedule. You cannot do anything, everything. When you start as a same person responsible for everything. And also for you need, I think you also have people from different institutes, and it takes time to get those people to, I think, speak same language. We had people from energy efficiency science of buildings and also people from IT department. I think it took us half a year until we understand what each side is saying, because everyone has their own 3-letter acronyms. You don't understand nothing the first 2 months what they're talking about. So it takes time, and also keeping in mind this tight schedule, you don't have it that time so much. So it's very important to reserve some time for beginning, just to let people sink in. And also in the university system, everyone has their own research project also ongoing. So basically, you maybe end up that you have maybe only one day those people can invest in your project. And it's especially interesting when you have PhD students, because for PhD students, working orders come from some other professor. You don't know. So you can ask to do something, but professor orders override your orders. So it's a university system that everyone has many projects simultaneously ongoing. So this realistic working schedule is quite difficult to set up. So otherwise, you will promise something to the business center, and next week you will say it didn't happen. That's covered this same point, this ongoing process. And to make it happen, you have to have small, understandable chunks. Basically, everyone has to know what we will do, by who, and by when. Everyone has to have clear responsibilities. Otherwise, you have meeting after meeting discussing what should be done, and nothing happens. So in the project plan, every major task has to have a name behind it with dates, so you can point finger why. And if they are quite uncomfortable answering those questions, then some point they start doing something. So basically, what, by when, and by who. That's always for the project management side. It's and in this, in addition, you also have a municipality. I think still they have municipalities. Mm-hmm. For our experience, we saw that we have 2 cities from Estonia. They saw it as a university project. That was not their project. They anticipated our meetings, everything's fine, but they didn't want to invest so much time and funds. But they saw it as a university project. Okay, they wanted us to tell what they have to do. They didn't want to think themselves that would be good or that would be useful. They are coming along, but they were coming along, but there was not too much investment. But I think we didn't talk it through at the moment. At the start, when we started, that we expect from you also your own ideas and development work. So that's municipality engagement. That can be difficult, because also those municipality people, they have their daily jobs running behind. So it's, I think at the beginning, it's good to discuss that they will understand how much time they actually need to invest. They can take it into account. And all those tendering and procurements, I think that was more or less covered, but those take times. All those things you cannot control. What's when the results is dependent on some other sources. And in our university, there is only one department dealing with procurements, and that's for all university procurements. So you can estimate 4 months, 3 to 4 months, because you send your papers, you are 1 month in the waiting line, and then they start going through those. So 3 to 4 months easily go to for procurement. So for this project timeline, it's very important to just reserve time and start as early as possible back, because procurements may end with nothing, and you start again, but you don't have this time. So it's a public funding. There are lots of rules. You have to. They help you with that, but it takes time. So dissemination and communication, that's something that not all, but many resource background people don't bother to do because they don't see it as important. In those kind of projects, you have to very actively communicate with those possible end users, so on. So you have to have a couple of people who are willing to go and go to the seminar, talk to the talk to the I don't know, press or everything. So it's important to be open also. It's not because this it's a little bit different, as I spoke already, that it's not so much doing the science work. It's doing this. You have to have a product that in the end, and that's different expertise. So yes, you have to have some publications, but that's not the main KPI. The main KPI is usable product. So it's that's why this process is different. There's a lot of changes there. So we didn't we sort of got lucky. So we had one business background people on board most of the meeting, and he always asked why you're doing that. That's not helping our product. So you as a scientist, I understand it's very interesting for you to analyze those 2 points after the comma, but for our product, that's not helping us. So you're wasting time. So this one people who are asking how this is helping our business is very good to have, because it's a little bit that's very different expertise. And if at the beginning we had, most of us were research scientists, we think of the same. We tend to think in the same, I don't know, written pattern, something, but it's very good if someone from outside, and that someone is broad enough to say to you that that's useless for our product. And budget buffer and time buffer, standard. Everything takes more time and is more expensive. Anything. That's the standard point in every project. So that's my 10 points. But as I said, standard project management stuff. But in the planning phase, sometimes things may.
Yeah, you can. Külle, you will share the slides.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and it's also recorded, I hope, Anna, so we can share it later. But any questions now to Kalle?
Everything's clear.
Everything is clear. Yes.
Very nice.
Thank you. Yeah, there is the question.
Nice presentation.
Yes, hello, good afternoon. I was just wondering about the tendering. What type of tendering or procurement did you have to do during? Was it for materials or for people? Or I'm just wondering what type of procurement you needed to do.
IT developments. We need user interface. We needed database, user interface, something. So it's services basically.
But yeah, in different ones, there were also devices procured. It was mostly devices or then software. In some cases, also there was a installment of hardware, so they even needed to dig a hole, or let's say so some basic things. But yes, in reality, in several cases, the problem was that they didn't get any offer, all the offers weren't qualified, meaning some papers were missing or some signatures were missing or something, and they had to start it again. So the tenders failed, and that took really a lot of time. And the extreme case, I think, was in one project, the expected budget and the reality had 3 times difference. So yeah, so think what the things could cost in 2 years or whenever you do the real procurement. So have some reserves there.
From what price or budget is the tendering needed?
It's the usual Estonian state law. So pre-offers for 5,000 and then from 60,000 this and then whatever. Yeah, the usual rules. Yeah. Okay, but thank you, Kalle. And I will now stop sharing, and then Ciprian, you can share your part and share the experiences from round 3.
Morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. And can you see the screen?
Yes.
Brilliant. So I'm Ciprian, and I'm the research manager of the UrbanSplash project. Okay, so this was the one that got funded in round 3 there that Kulle mentioned. So we have started the project a few months ago. So what I want to do here is perhaps tell you a bit about the process, because we were in the same stage you are now 8 months ago. So that process being the pilot preparation stage that we are in, and the fact that you are here, it means you are good. So congratulations, right? It means you have a good idea. Back to UrbanSplash. So who are we? Well, we got the 1.2 million euro project over 3 years. Our concept solution looks at developing a one-stop shop for the monitoring of bathing and recreational water quality. And as you will see here, we have 3 piloting cities, one of them in Tartu, in Estonia, and 2 of them in Ireland, in Balbrigan and Dunleary. Now, in the stage to prepare the pilot, we did manage to forge a lot of connections. So that, academic collaborators, but critically local national partnerships with cities, okay? So we worked hard for a few good months to really get to this. This is our concept, and you can see the map here. So just saying, it was not clear at the beginning, and we're still working on it. And yours is probably not clear enough just yet, but you'll get there. But what we did, we identified a key gap in the water sector, and in the UrbanSplash, we are trying to fill that gap by providing these services, real-time data forecasting and source tracking. And to provide these services, we do have to develop a few things and a few products there, technology toolbox, the data platform, and the mobile app, okay? So this was a lot of work, but once you get here, you have the overall image of your project, things get easier. So now just get you a bit through the process. Going back 8 months ago, we were where you are now, okay? So we had an idea, and like you, we were asked to make it happen. We were asked to deploy it. But, this is not a straightforward process, and don't expect that. It looks more like this, okay? It's iterative. It involves going back to the drawing board, redesigning, adjusting your work plan, adjusting your strategy, your business plan, and so on and so forth, okay? So like you, we were asked to demonstrate in plain language that our solution is desirable and feasible. And plainly put, this is, the problem validation really is something about which enough people care about, okay? And ideally, the solution proposed solves that problem or pain, and most importantly, is scalable, okay? In terms of feasibility, you will have to demonstrate that the solution satisfies the stakeholder problem, and for that, you will have to do a bit of stakeholder engagement, which includes stakeholder mapping, but also process mapping, etc. The idea is that you understand the process and where your solution fits in, okay? And how you want to deploy it. So that stakeholder engagement process is, at this stage you are, for the next few months, is the backbone of your pilot application, from my point of view. And where we started was to go and map our stakeholders and ask ourselves the question, who do we sell this to? Who are developing it for? Who's going to buy it? Who's going to benefit from it? And so on. Who can help us develop it? Who can help us bring it to the market? And all sorts of things. So we did that process. And you know, that work that you do here in your stakeholder engagement, it's actually going to feed in at least 5 sections of your application out of 8, I think. Okay. So what did we? So how did we do it? Well, there we go. We talked with a lot of people, right? We had loads of coffee. We had the occasional beers in Tallinn. But the message is we had a plan with all this chat. We actually gained valuable information about our stakeholder needs to semi-structured interviews, right? So we followed up a well-established process like stakeholder mapping and prioritization, process mapping for different stakeholder group, problem validation, stakeholder needs, and ideal outcomes for those stakeholders. And at the end of the day, what we really needed was to identify the key needs and to develop value propositions for those, okay? So going back to that beautiful image I showed at the beginning, you can see here on the right-hand side some of the filter stakeholder needs that we came up with. And you will see some of them are for citizens and users, some of them are for cities or local authorities in our case. So 2 groups of stakeholders. So, you know, going back to the challenge, right, we identified a lot of problems, I think between 6 and 8 with bathing water quality management. However, to simplify it here for you, there were 2 key ones, really. The first one is the fact the current methods are too slow, and it takes up to 5 days to provide results. This means people are exposed to a certain risk and can get sick, okay? The second major problem is the lack of tools, particularly microbial source tracking tools, to help cities identify pollution sources and carry out active management. So again, going back to my my map here, based on those problems, we said, okay, these are the services we need to provide to our stakeholders to solve them. And those 3 services were real-time data, forecasting, and source tracking. And, you know, going back again, we asked ourselves, okay, so what do we need to do this? And that's where the fabulous UrbanSplash team comes into place. So just know this is a bit outdated. This is from back when we put the application together, but briefly, we are 4 research teams: sensors, microbial source tracking, AI and computation, and community and citizen engagement. But critically, all of our expertise is complemented by experts from each of our piloting cities, as you will see around. So we're leveraging a huge amount of expertise from cities, and we also have a highly multidisciplinary team. In terms of timeline, we've set these key milestones in order to manage and implement the project. And what you see here is just the proposed progression with development and piloting of the solution in the first 2 years up to month 24, and then the preparation for commercialization in the 3rd year. Now, to sum it up, some of the key learning outcomes, I would say trust the process. We had Külle as our person to go to. So if you do have Külle, she will force you to go through the process. That's not really an option, okay? On the stakeholder part, talk to as many people as possible, although given the limited time and budget you have, it's probably better to be strategic about it and prioritize key stakeholders. Time just flies, it really does. So ideally put a very strong core team together as early as possible to work on the application. Or, you know, use some of the other options available where you're outsourcing some of the parts. Do you have a business plan yet? If you don't, start thinking about it as soon as possible, because as it was mentioned before, this really takes most of the researchers outside of our comfort zone. So ideally get as much help as possible. But here, try to be as flexible and open-minded as possible. Be ready to pivot, okay? Have a look at the budget template that will be shared with you. I know it can be intimidating because it comes with the implementation plan, but have a look at it now. Because I looked at it a bit too late, starting to populate it, and I realized a lot of things I didn't account for, like the overhead and so on. Furthermore, if you do the budget now, you will have plenty of time to fine-tune it. And keep in mind, the budget looks large, but it's not actually. In the budget we had to prioritize, assign resources to key tasks, and also we had to stagger research contracts to when we need them. And finally, listen, try and have some fun, and best of luck.
Thank you, Ciprian. Questions? Online or here? Yes, I can comment also this budget side, that definitely in this 1.2 million or 800 something, it seems kind of a big sum. But when you have quite plenty of people initially in your team, then when you're 36 months and you count the salary, and then you see your budget is 3 million or something. So in some cases, when you do the first draft, then you find out how many you really can fit in, and then think, who are the key people? What skills do I really need in the project, and what are kind of nice to have? And then you can fine tune. Also, like developing the project, I guess there is the ideal thing that it can do a million things, but think what are the ones, the features you need to have in your project by the end in order to sell something. And maybe you can't do all of it during these 2 or 3 years, but you have to prioritize then with what you do and what stays into the later phases, something like that. No questions at the moment to Ciprian? Okay, but yeah, if you want some later time to ask something, then also we can share the contact, so you can talk to either Ciprian or Kalle or some other project managers who have been in with us. Thank you. And now we will go to the application, yeah? This, so the very practical things. And lots of things, but yeah, I said we will record it. Why does it come here? Okay. But yeah, you can also ask later on, and that's one of the reasons we have our people also in your team, so you can always ask them. So yeah, I sent you this application in Word to you, and then you also have an action plan and budget. Yeah. So we will go through step by step. So this is the kind of the content list of the application, what you need to go through. I guess quite several of them are already familiar, so you covered them somewhat at least already in your 6-page application. The research context is the new part that you need to then start to work on, because that was not in the first one. Also the team more intensively, and the application and budget are in Excel. Yeah, this is the templates I sent. Also, the innovation and commercialization plan is the ones that are like now more in depth than it was at the beginning. So the first thing is that these parts, the problem, the solution, and the impact, they have to talk about the same things. So now when you talk to the cities and other potential customers, really find out the most important things that if they get that sold, then they are ready to pay. Some things can be, yeah, it's sold it, it's very nice, but yeah, in reality, they don't start to pay anything if that happens. They expect it. In some cases, cities expect it to somehow happen for free. So try to find out what are the things they are ready to pay for, talking to them. Then when you describe a solution, find out that in the description, you say that it solves those things, that it doesn't do something else. That there is a concrete, okay, that was the need, and that is what we do. And then the third part is the impact. Measure the same things. And that's also always quite tricky. It is asked at the moment, the KPI for the impact is like 5 years after the pilot. Okay, what is happening for cities, citizens, and environments? 3 KPIs, not 20, not 9, 3. 3 most important ones. But you have to keep in mind that you have to measure it before the pilot, after the pilot, to see that there is at least some impact. And then, yes, you kind of project what happens in 5 years. But it's quite tricky. In some cases, you think that, yeah, it's obvious we meet with the Tarmo, I think you remember, we had about waste collection. Do we measure kilometers? Do we measure time? What is really the thing that decreases or increases? What we want to happen? Can we measure it, or does it really affect it? So this is something to discuss with the citizens, understand where the change happens and whom it makes happen. So those three things need to match with each other. That's very important, and this is what you need to use this time for. Then the commercialization side, yes, all those different aspects. As said, on February 12, we will have this workshop. So please let us know who wants to join from your teams, that we can really go in depth with these things and help you to think about those things, that they are not like, for example, when talking about market, that you don't take like, let's say, I don't know, waste management market is 30 billion and we take 2% of that. That's, that will never happen. That's not realistic. So that you really start to think on kind of realistic terms. Okay, to whom can I sell? And what's the potential? If the total potential to sell your thing is 100,000, so sorry, we can't invest 1.2 million in order to earn 100,000. So so we need to think it through. What's really the potential of this this product? And then there are these KPIs are always kind of difficult. So for commercialization, there are 3 KPIs for different time periods. First is what's happening between now and the end of April. So this is the number of cities or other customer segments you talk to and who say, yes, guys, do it, and we would be interested probably to buy it. So this is the number of potential yeses. The second one is for the project lifetime. So this 2 or 3 years period. This is now the prediction. How many potential customers you think you could have in the last day of your project saying that, yes, I'd like to buy it. And the third one is long-term. So here you need to think already the prognosis, either it is up to you to decide 3 years or 5 years after the project. So this is also what we do on this February 12 workshop to help you to think how you should. Of course, you don't know the final business model yet, but you need to choose one and then do calculations and make us and yourself believe that there is some potential. We can sell good enough that it makes potential to invest 1.2 million. If it's smaller, then there isn't too much point for us to invest. Then the research contest, that is the new part. So as we said, there will be 3 people from the research side evaluating us, so they can evaluate your present quality, the work you have done. So this you can also demonstrate with the theories and methodologies and so forth that you plan to use, the know-how and so forth. So you demonstrate that you understand the domain and then you know the best methods. Then you also need to define the key research questions, also before the pilots. Okay, what answers do we need to know? Then I hope all the teams will be cross-disciplinary, because in most of the cases, the city's topics are wider than just one institute to be involved. So you understand it from different angles, not too many, but good enough. And here the KPIs. One is the research articles you will do. We don't expect 10s, but 1 is not also maybe is too little. So think what's realistic. Then the number of new researchers involved into Finnish Center, not Talfe. So if you hire new people into a project, into an institute, that's all nice. That's not counted here. So we hope to enlarge our team, that you bring some new people also into our team, either from other universities or then hire new PhDs or postdocs or wherever they. You don't need all the people hired at this time, because you may think that, okay, for this team, I need a postdoc or I need a PhD, and then you just write into the team postdoc, and you will hire them maybe in month 6 or something, whenever you need in your team. That's all fine. And then the follow-up projects that you would maybe most potentially horizon projects that you could write during the project time, and ideally get a positive answer then during the project or minimum 6 months after the project. And then there is also a kind of table for the team. And there are two columns. One that I want to stress, one is the main task in the pilot project. So in that, try to explain it. Why did you have this lady or gentleman in your team? So that we understand. Don't give us some general role, but we need to understand that it's really relevant for this project. And the background information then shortly adds up, explains, okay, why he or she is the best one to do it. In some cases, you think it's easier to add these links or whatever. It's kind of nice, but I'm not sure that the evaluators take the time to really read it through. And if they don't find the good match, then they may give it your lesser grades. So ideally, still bring out the key things why he or she is the best for the team in this aspect. Hey, before I go to the action plan, any questions here for the application? For the technical side, I can also say that, yes, this at the moment, this application says which urban challenge, blah, blah, blah. You can say this urban challenge we are targeting. So it's at the moment in the question form, make it now your own proposal. Then also make a content list. So use the word options, because at the moment your application was 6 pages. This will be probably around 30 pages, what our experience says. So in order to help to navigate it, make it list so it's easier to find. Then there are these indicative questions. Yeah, keep them when you do it, but later on you can also delete it. So it's for your help to understand what we are expecting here. You can keep them, but you can also delete. So this is for you to help you to understand. But yeah, KPIs you can't delete. So this is what you have to write about.
About the KPIs, one of them, as I understood, is the potential for next Horizon project or similar. So this should be included already in this project plan, the next Horizon.
Yeah, meaning not the whole proposal, but it asks for initial ideas.
But that can change during.
Sure.
During
but yeah, absolutely, it can change. It's not that you write something and then I check. Did you write that proposal?
Because I just wanted to check that.
Yeah.
Usually these ideas evolve during the.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, but we want to see that you have at least some initial ideas.
Okay.
That's the kind of to make you think. What's the next?
And ambition to go.
Great.
Yeah. Okay, but then. You have this Excel with action plan and budget. What to keep in mind that, yes, always the first period is for the development. So the cities, different institutes, as you heard, have to start to talk the same language and really understand what is the thing. What are the real features it has to have? Then the second phase is the pilots, minimum in 2 cities, one in Estonia, one in another country. You can have more. Yeah, see what your budget allows. The crucial thing is that either in month 9 or month 14, longer or shorter, the pilot has to stop. We have the right to stop the project if the pilots don't stop. And for this, in order to get to the last period, so on month 17 and 23, you need to have the pilot done and analyzed. So we see that there was an impact, that it makes sense to continue. And you need to have the next level business plan so that we believe that it's there. And the last period is to the core team to get ready for commercialization. Or if you have a private company for that, then together with them. And for cities, ideally to implement it for the long term. Maybe they need to do some changes inside their processes, or maybe they need to procure something and so forth, so that the cities could really implement it for the long term. Of course, if your pilot fails, then they don't need to implement anything. They don't need to continue. And the cities, it's not that the cities now need to say that whatever it will cost and however good it will be, I will buy it. That's impossible. But they need to have the will and need that if the solution will be good enough, and if the price model is also suitable for us, we'd like to buy it. This is what we want them to say. So when you look at in the action plan for 25 or 36, then the planning is monthly. Yes, there is each column for each month, so you can turn them, color them gray or whatever. If you choose some other color, the months that this or that activity takes place. When planning, take care that if there is summer, some people may be on vacation, so maybe don't plan too many deadlines for researchers, long vacations. At the same time, for some cases, maybe the pilot cannot be done in the middle of winter. Think if you can do it. Also the Christmas time, people can be away. So take these things into account. We had one proposal where we failed this, that we thought that we do things in November, December, but then when we started to do it, then we understood that's absolutely not possible. We need to do in between May and September the things. So think if you are climate also dependent in some things. And for each task, on top of just naming communication or whatever, it's easy, marketing, you need to have the specification. Okay, a survey. What survey? With whom? How many? Blah, blah, blah. So make it as clear as possible what you really mean. This is this column C for specification. And then you have the months, and then in the end, you have responsible person in your team. Who is the key person responsible for this task? What is the expected result? Is it some kind of paper, meaning the deliverable in the European communication? Or maybe you have a workshop with 30 participants, for example, or whatever it is, And then the deadline. So these are, here is also, again, from UrbanSplash example. These are the tasks and subtasks, and this is the specification, to make it understandable. Okay, what do we really mean with these two words, for example, and that everybody, when we finally, there's summer passes, and in September you start the project, and then you think, okay, what did I keep in mind, and what is it really? And also for doing your budget, in many cases, you need to think much more concrete. How many, because all the budget contains, that depends on that. How many sensors do I need? How many people will be there, and so forth. And then in this second example here, now the months have been hidden. And now you see this person responsible. They have done it so that they have the first letters of the names, and they have colored just bold the ones responsible, and the others are contributing. You can do it in some other way. The main is that you know who is responsible. Then there is the expected result, what gets ready when this activity is done, and then there is the month when it gets ready. So it's logical and it goes together with the, so don't forget these things. And yes, as said, the plan time for tenders, subcontracting things, it takes more time than you imagine. When you think about the budget, then the budget is quarterly. So in case of tenders, the money is paid out when the tender is done, the work is done, not when on the month when you start the tender. In many cases, that is the mistake that's done. People think that, okay, I start tender in January and then they put me whatever, 100,000 into January. In reality, they do the tender 4 months, then the work is done 6 months, and in reality, the money is paid out in December. So it should be in December, not January. And we already talked about this. The pilot should start on March 9 or 14. Pilot should be done and analyzed. The business plan done March 17 or 23. In our project, also the work is planned by teams and sub-teams and not in work packages. So we have one horizontal team covering this administrative reporting and communication part. This will be done by someone of us who would then join you. Then the research lead, who is then this, for example, Ciprian in this UrbanSplash case. This is the content coordination and the synergy that really the different teams develop the same product. And it all comes together, also thinking about research articles, follow-up projects, data management, and so forth. So this is the research lead task. Then the commercialization part, you should have on board either the business lead from the beginning, or if you don't have it yet, then a little bit later. In case you have a commercialization partner, meaning a private partner who already on board, interested to commercialize, then you don't need a business lead hired in the team on top of that. And also then one person from each city should be in this team who really takes care that this pilot takes place in their city. And then comes whatever number, I don't think more than 4, but yeah, these sub-teams based on the contents. There are a couple of examples. In well-being score, for example, we had the psychological study, physiological study, and map play and service design. So these were the 3 content teams. In UrbanSplash, as also Ciprian showed, we had the sensors, source tracking and data platform, and then citizen management, citizen engagement. So these are the 4 sub-teams. And all the activities then are planned according to what they do. And also the city experts, they should then be in the right team, whatever they do. In UrbanSplash, there is one person in sensor and environmental dealing with the technical where exactly the sensors will be put. And then in the citizen engagement, because we need their help to really see whom to involve and how to find them and so forth. Any questions concerning the action plan before we go to numbers and money? Too much information anyway at the beginning. So I guess when you start to do it, then again, don't hesitate to ask. And yeah, don't start to do it on the last minute. Because then you may discover things that take more time.
What is new compared to the last year, for example? Is there anything new, like
in the application, you mean?
Yeah, I mean overall for budgeting.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. It should be quite the same as in round 3. The sum for a 3 years project is a little bit big, but it's so it's. But this is so you can't exceed that sum. Yeah. So this is the number you have to fit in. And yeah, the question has been like, do you need to divide it equal? No, you don't. Think what you really, when you need the money, there is the money. And also, of course, also don't think like, okay, I leave only 20,000 for the last year, and then let the Finnish do whatever they do. That also won't go past. We still need to see that you work for commercialization during the last year. Most probably you don't need the whole research team for the last year, but you need the people that are dedicated to get it to the market. And we most probably also need to fine-tune the product. So you need those people who deal with that. So the general logic is, yes, the salaries of the people, plus 25% overhead, researchers and city experts, of course, all the taxes are in, so it's not gross salary, but gross salary plus employers' taxes that you have to keep in mind. And if you will, if the city's experts agree and can be also employed by us, we are happy to do that, but it has to be possible by the cities. Then this is also salary. Direct costs also plus overhead, all the equipment, materials, events, international travel. Yeah, local travel not eligible. Yeah. And then subcontracting where no overhead. Yeah. What is subcontracting? Software development when you buy that in. Service or analysis that you don't do for some reason by yourself, but buy in. And when cities experts want to be subcontracted, they cannot be employed, then they also go there.
Is this the finalist or subcontracting?
Maybe you have something else, I don't know. Yeah,
but that's not, you don't have a line down there.
No, in that sense.
So
if you have something else that fits there, then yeah. Okay. So more detail for the personnel. Yeah, so think which month you need the people, and you can also change this workload, but not each month back and forth, because bureaucratic reasons also that if you have a fixed percentage, then we just need the file. But if it's different each month, then you need to start to fill in the tööajatabel, yeah? But we want to avoid that. But if you change it, one quarter is this and the other quarter is that, that's all fine. We just change the file. That's all okay. And when you do the salaries, then have this formula there in. Don't just put there 2,000, 5,000, whatever, and you have no clue where it came from. So it's the real salaries of those people. This is not horizon thing, meaning like there is some fixed whatever number hourly rate, whatever it's called. Here it's the real salary of these real people, depending on the workload. And that's quarterly. Yeah, and keep in mind, yeah.
Is it 1.338?
Yeah.
Is it valid for 2025?
I don't think that social tax didn't change.
Yeah.
Okay.
Income tax changed, but that's already included in the gross salary.
Okay.
Yes, and yeah, if you don't have the commercialization lead already in the team, then plan it at least from month 12 or 14. In case of UrbanSplash, then Ciprian also wants to take part of the spin-off. We are really happy about that. So initially he had more research tasks, and then later phases he will take more of the business lead task, for example. Then yes, city experts, when they are employed by us, have to go there. The researchers, we have long vacations, yeah. So please plan some extra vacation funds always for the December. Otherwise, you will stay in minuses. This has happened in the first 6 pilots. So have some reserve there because, yeah, this is a long mathematics. I'm not telling you that, but this happens. And when you employ some foreign people that will stay working in their own country, like, for example, we have Ciprian, then you need to do the contract according to their law. And for that, we need to buy in service, and that costs us about 200 euros per person per month. So you need to budget that on the subcontract on top of the salary. Hey. Yeah, if you have any questions in the middle, then yeah, you can raise the hand. So a little bit longer list for direct costs, just to keep in mind that you don't forget the all kind of equipment, materials, licenses. When you do public events or project events, then yeah, you don't need to pay for the Taltef rooms if you do it here, and usually the cities also would give you fee for your rooms, but still for catering, you need some money and so forth. So keep that in mind. If you have different countries and you want to do some stakeholder involvement, quite probably you need some translation or interpretation costs. Because with local people, you can't talk English if your partner is not from Great Britain. International travel costs for the project events. Also, if you have foreign researchers, they also maybe need to come here. Also, if you want to go to present your research articles in conferences, you need to budget money for that. Also for communication and marketing for the last year, for example, when you already want to sell, have budget some money to go to these events. Travel inside Estonia is not eligible. So meaning if you have Estonian cities, then when they come to Tallinn for the project meeting, or if the researchers go to Tartu, for example, or Võru or whatever, for a project meeting, then that comes from overhead. Cities have to cover it from their own budget. This is the in-kind, and Taltech will cover our researchers, but it goes from the project overhead, not direct cost. The only exception, what we have agreed with the ministry here, is that in case for doing the pilot reason, the researchers or engineers need to be in this Estonian city for longer term and do some specific things, then we can say that this is direct cost. But if you go for the project meeting or some seminar, that's not. Then, yes, open access fees for articles, if think about that. Then also we need to evaluate the climate resilience. Maybe your own team can do it. If not, if you have to buy some kind of service, then you need some budget, some cost. What does it mean? It's a new rule that all the ones have to do it in case you have some physical thing. So it means that if the weather goes really hot or if it goes really cold, your like physical things cannot be destroyed. So you have to find out if it really endures whatever, plus 40 and minus 40.
That's a really good point.
And yeah, marketing. And yeah, don't just budget whatever, 1,000 for each month. Think what you will really do. What are the concrete things you'd like to do? Then yes, again, subcontracting, no overhead, and these are usual things that go there. VAT. In most of the cases, VAT is included in the budget, so it's eligible cost, and it's in the sum. The exception is the fixed assets. So if you buy a software or hardware that's 10,000 or plus, then that's a fixed asset. And then Taltech will declare it as fixed asset and to the tax office, and Taltech gets some money back. So in this case, the sum you have in the budget is without VAT. When you buy the thing, this is this sum plus VAT. Then they say that the average is about 9% Taltech get back. Then that's all nice. The rest will be deducted from the overhead. And I said, this is 25% overhead. Now, in case of Taltech institutes, as was the question before, the institute that have 2 or more people from one institute in one project, we will give you a specific financial budget. So 25% is kind of yours. Of course, Taltech will take 15%, but the 10% stays to you to cover the not eligible cost plus the rest. Okay, against. Comes back soon. Next slide is for cities. Let's hope we get back soon. Oh. Do you hear us now? Yes, no.
They hear, but
we don't
yeah,
see.
we can. Well, you still have the shared screen. We can see the shared screen.
So the cities don't get a specific meaning, like we don't give cascade funding, meaning we don't give that, city A has whatever, 100,000 and you need to take care of it, buy the things and then report us. This is not happening. We cannot give money to any other juridical body. This money is given to Taltech and we are not allowed to transfer it in any other way than just buying things. So meaning that for cities, all the direct piloting costs, we cover those directly, meaning we do the tenders by ourselves, we buy the things, what is needed for piloting and so forth in order to happen in these cities, being it either in Estonia or in other countries. For cities experts, we expect cities experts to be involved to really make it happen. So there is 3 options. One is in kind, meaning that the cities don't get any money from us for experts. They cover it from the usual salary fund. And for example, for UrbanSplash, all 3 cities decided so. But it's not a must. We are happy to do it otherwise. So there are 2 ways how we can pay it to the cities. One is that the cities experts are part-time employed by us, meaning the cities need to find out if that's possible according to their internal rules and so forth. And the other possible is that we do a tender and we purchase it as a service. We have some options on the table how to do it. One is this läbirääkimisteta, mis iganes ta nüüd on meil see hange, eks ole. Ja hankemenetlus läbirääkimistega välja kuulutamiseta hange. And the other is kind of a cooperation agreement way also for tender. Yeah, it will be quite complicated, but I hope we will manage with that. So these are the 2 ways. So the cities need to think what is possible and which way they want to choose. Anyway, if the city's experts have to come to Estonia or some other place, some other city in another country for project meeting, then this we can cover. Again, the same thing. We will buy the tickets and we will purchase the hotel and cover the cost. Also, for when Estonian city is traveling for a project meeting in a partner city in some other country, then we can also cover their cost. Not a problem at all. But local traveling cannot, meaning inside Estonia, we cannot cover. Cities, do you have any questions? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Johan.
Actually, I had a question for the previous slide as well?
Can't hear you at the moment.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, now we can hear you from my computer only.
Okay, but yeah.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So my question was for the previous slide, when you mentioned what costs are eligible. So in our project, we have a fair amount of computations. So can we do sisearved for HPC center?
Sisearve is not an eligible cost for RCK, absolutely sure.
Would it be possible for the for Team Zero to figure out how we can actually purchase services from within the university? Because this is something which makes it really, really difficult for us. So we have the resources, but we cannot pay for it.
Well, if you are having a contract with a certain person who will do the job.
I mean, the
Yeah,
salary cost we can pay for him.
Salary
But,
cost.
We need to pay for electricity.
Juhul me saame seda arutada, ma arvan, et see ei ole nii suur.
Actually, this is the reason for why I'm asking it is because our university is broken. It's a problem within our university. We need to figure out how to do this, because when our university sets up rules in a reasonable way, it will be eligible. But our university hasn't done this, and that's why I bring it up. And we need to bring it up on every level so that somebody upstairs actually will fix it finally. The other question.
I guess, yes, we need to discuss it then with our financial unit and so forth internally, meaning RTK wouldn't accept it as eligible cost when it's internal invoice. That's
yes,
what it is. So we need to find some other solution, and we need to be creative, let's say so.
But this is actually not my problem only. This is for many other people as well, and it's a huge pain for the people managing the HPC center, because they actually have to manage their cost unit as well. The other question is regarding procurement of experts from cities. Is this delegated to teams on tier 1, or will this be handled by Team Zero?
This will be mostly handled by our tendering unit at Talte. But of course, the input has to come from us, meaning like the team has to say as precisely as possible what the experts need to do, so that it wouldn't be possible for an NGO or, I don't know, consultancy company to offer the same. That's the kind of the key. That we have to be as specific of telling what do we need from the city experts. This is the content part that has to come from the core team.
For the purpose of the project, this is noise. So we have to somehow manage this noise.
What is noise?
This whole procurement of experts from cities, because we know that we need the experts from these cities, right?
Yes,
so this is artificial layer, and we need to somehow automate this. So I, as a kind of technical content provider to the project, would like to deal as little as possible with procurement of experts from cities.
Yeah, as said,
but I would like to collaborate with the cities.
We have the procurement department who will deal with all the legal things, but the procurement department never can say what you need an expert for. So the content always need to come from the team. The rest is done by the procurement department. You don't need to think out what's the legal form and so forth, but that's not your task.
I have done many procurements actually, and I've also, so I know more about this than I would like to. So, and that's why it would be really helpful if this is somehow automated away, and because it is noise. But I understand we have to do it somehow. Thank you.
Maybe the content always needs to come from the team, but let's say when we manage to pass this thing with one city, then for the next ones it will be much easier, because then we have approved with RTK and so forth that this is the way. But of course, who will be the first one to do it? For them, it takes more time. Of course, we as the finalists want to contribute to it and make it happen. But yeah, that is unfortunately the case that happens. But yeah, in case the cities are happy to be employed by us, then you can avoid it totally. Then the private partners, meaning now either the private real estate developers that you also want to do the pilot, or then technology companies that want to be the commercialization ones. They are welcome to join the team, but we cannot finance them, meaning we cannot cover their salaries or buy things from them. But yes, all the researchers' salaries are covered by us. We can take into account all the, let's say, tailor-made things that they want to have. So it will be taken into account while we develop the solution. That is all they get. And also then this commercialization partner, yeah, can be sure that this is the thing that they can commercialize, that the research have developed, and they can then, bring it to the market. This is their privilege. In this case, we will not offer it to all possible companies that we can find in the world, but we start to do it together with them from day one. And yes, in this, you will see it later on. In the end of the word, there is also the budget, just the summary numbers. So there is a total budget, and then this total budget can be divided in between 3 lines. One is then the TalTech budget, and then the sum that you have budgeted for Estonian cities and the sum you have budgeted for foreign cities. And these 3 sums together make the total sum. And then we also ask if the cities will contribute something in kind. So what you can definitely count in there is the local travel asset for Estonian cities. What's in there? In case the cities decide not to ask money for the experts, then this is the in kind, the salaries. And in some cases, also in UrbanSplash, for example, the cities decided that they will cover part of also the sensors or piloting or infrastructure costs they have to make. Then if they agree to cover something, then that also goes there.
I think this is actually an important point here, that if there is, for example, some sensors or other infrastructure that remains there also after the pilot, then the cities are better to purchase them.
Otherwise, it stays ours, and the cities will be in kind of strange situation. Then also, yes, it's asked, like, if you would have any other partners that will contribute, like that are ready to contribute to your project during the lifetime. Again, these 2 applications all had some outside partner, either this commercialization partner. In one, there was that these technology companies, for example, gave their sensors to the project without asking money. So that's their contribution that they can give. And then they got the software that is developed during the project. And yes, and then it's also asked, like, if you already expect in the last year, for example, to raise some private capital, then if you have that ambition, then write it there. If not, then this is 0. Any questions? Just the last thing was that, yes, you will get the evaluation results by the beginning of June or sometime beginning of June. And then you have the whole summer. And from September 1, the projects will be launched. The condition is that your minimum 2 piloting cities should have signed either the partnership agreement or then the letter of commitment where we can be sure that they are on board. As UrbanSplash example, it took much more time than we expected. So be ready and let the cities already think, okay, what they are ready to sign and what they are not.
Yeah.
Yes?
Alberto has a question.
Yeah.
Hi, Kalle. Thank you very much for your presentation. Could you please recap very, very quickly which are the main privileges, advantages for the private partners for the companies?
The first thing is that they can, they get researchers into their team to work for free for 2 or 3 years. So if they would need the additional competence to develop their product further, this is now how they can get it for free. They don't need to pay anything for the researchers, and they can get their product onto the new level. That's the main thing. And yeah, of course, if the company is already on board, then as said, we start the negotiations with this company, and we are not going out to whichever company and say, okay, maybe you'd like to license that, but we are in negotiations. And in several cases, this will be integrated with the existing product of that company already. So these integrations and things get done, and you don't need to start from zero when you think that you want to do it.
Yeah, clear. Okay, just to recap them. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions? There is one. No, that was the one. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything from here? Okay, yes, we will record, we will share the recording, so you can also, yeah, if you don't remember something, you can find it out. If some of the team members couldn't participate, or cities or whatever, then let them to listen it. When you have now these project meetings with our representatives, then yes, ask them, and if they get stuck in some places, then they will ask me, and we will find the solution how to handle it. So don't assume the Horizon rules don't apply here. So better if you don't know, then ask how it works. So in the good side also about the budget is that it's really kind of flexible. In our contract, we have just two numbers. One is the structural fund number and the other is the state fund number. It's not even pilot specific. So we can be flexible whenever it's needed, but of course I need to have the calculations in general. So you can from personnel to direct, from subcontracting. So we can float in between these, but of course the project manager has to have the overview that you will manage with that whole money. So it's not so strict, but yeah, we still need to do the plan how to use that in most sensible way and what we can do in this time frame and this budget. Okay, thank you. It was nice to meet some of you here and the others online. And yeah, we are waiting for the proposals by the end of April. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.